Hey guys, welcome back. It's Mike with Altcoins. It's Wednesday, June 28th, 2023. We've had quite a lot of movement over the last 2 weeks, so a lot to talk about. Let's dive right in. So, early June, we had the SEC crap all over the crypto sector, especially with the exchanges, the whole Binance debacle, and it led to more downside, but not as much as anyone would think. That was a bit surprising, and it kind of stabilized around the 25K mark. And then, boom, it exploded higher. So what happened? Took everyone by surprise. And not that I did not expect something like that to happen, because dun, 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 here we go. I mean, I'm Jack's complete lack of surprise. That's just how the game works. Yes, I've become a little bit of a cynic in my old days. After being a trader for 20 years, I've seen these things happen over and over again. So I always have to laugh when it happens. But okay, be this as it may, let's go through what's on the menu here and how it's going to affect the crypto sector, right? BlackRock, of course, I've written about it. You guys probably heard about it. And it set a signal in the market where everyone was holding back. It felt, based on the announcements that I reported when you read my post over the last 2 weeks or so, it felt to me that a lot of them were holding back and just waiting for the green light, for the signal that it's safe to go back into crypto. Everyone had all the lawyers ready, had the applications filed and ready to roll. And then BlackRock says, okay, we're at 25K. It's probably as good as it's going to get. This is my bankster voice, right? So, yeah, it's 25K. So it's time to open the floodgates, unleash the hordes. And well, here we are. All of a sudden, there's ETFs crawling out of the woodwork. We've got Fidelity, Bitcoin and Ether trading and custody, full stack crypto wealth management solutions. That's a mouthful, but whatever. Good for crypto. JP Morgan, that's interesting. Tokenized USD and Euro transfers via JPM Bankster coin. All right. I'm not sure that's going to be really warmly embraced by the community, but hey, it's on the blockchain. And again, that solidifies the blockchain in the minds and hearts and the financial infrastructure that's gradually but surely developing in the world. Morgan Stanley, access to 3 Bitcoin funds. Very good. Partner Galaxy NYDIG. Then we have Goldman Sachs, OTC crypto trading. Oh, that's actually very interesting. Over-the-counter crypto trading, I think that's going to give access to crypto-related windows for large players. So over-the-counter windows are a big deal. To the uninitiated, this doesn't sound like anything, but for large players, this is actually important. And I know what you're thinking. Well, it's going to start affecting the spot price and everything. Futures, right? If this futures being traded. Yes and no. A lot of times these things kind of happen in isolation and they're not really public. So it's interesting. I'm not surprised to see Goldman Sachs getting into that. That's kind of their game. Anyway, BNY Mellon, hold and transfer Bitcoin and Ether. Okay, they're just going to hold and transfer it. Invesco, I didn't know about that one. Bitcoin ETF in Europe. Oh, okay, over here. My side of the Atlantic. Filed for Bitcoin ETF in the US. Okay, that's going to be interesting. So they're going to have to put up with regulatory requirements in the US, but also in Europe. So probably going to be 2 entities. Bank of America. Well, they are actually a primary dealer. So a lot of people only see Bank of America as the neighborhood bank, and they kind of suck. You really wouldn't connect the dots here, but they are actually a primary dealer, so that's not really too surprising. But in terms of assets, I assume this is in billions. So it's not a small sum. Is it a huge sum? No, but it's a good start. And, well, it was good enough for the market to have this kind of relief rally. Good news it's waiting for. So what's going to happen now? Well, I know. I have been rubbing this thing in here for quite a while now. Forgive me. It's good to be right once in a while, right? And I grew these lines back in, I think, like 12th or 13th of March. I think it was actually once we pushed a little bit higher here, and I was connecting the lines here and saying, okay, we'll probably go through here. And then I was lucky enough. Of course, I didn't hit it exactly. I drew a little bit above here. So it was off by about 1,000. But here was almost spot on, which is surprising. All I was going by was actually this kind of support here, this previous resistance. And since that had been overcome, it was just a natural price cluster to revisit and to establish as future support, because that's usually what happens if you kind of draw a line here. It's price clusters. Yeah? There might not be in a straight line. There might be on an angle. It doesn't really matter. You can draw lines all over the place. It doesn't really matter. But anyway, here we are now. We parked at 30K. And it's quite possible, let me zoom in a little bit here, that we might actually go a little bit down again, maybe 28, 27K or so. Well, maybe not this low, but like 27.5 even. It's possible that we pulling back and then really bust higher. That would not be atypical in terms of price movement. But it's really hard to say, honestly. I mean, it could just continue, just push higher. It depends. What I do know is, though, that if we breach above the spike high here, see that right here? What is that? Let's check it out, guys. That is on the high 31,035. Let's just call it 31,000. So if we bust above 31,000, I think we truly unleash the floodgates, because from there, right, a push over, let's say 32,000 is just 2K away. That might just take a day or two. And after that, there's really not much holding back. Well, okay, let me revise that. There's some resistance here, but it's quite old. It's close enough. Let me draw a line here so we can actually see what's going on. Let me get a horizontal. All right, let's draw a horizontal here and kind of drag it around so you guys have a better visual reference. So this is where we are right now. See that? Okay. Let's zoom out a little bit more. There, okay. Actually, that makes a lot of sense, right? So again, as I said, not surprising that we're bumping our head against this right here. And from here to here, see that? We're already in this resistance zone. But what you must know about price action is that the further it goes back, it starts losing, unless there is nothing in between, and we have a little bit of context here in between. But if there's recent context in other areas, that's usually what it's attracted to. And it's more natural for it to push into those areas and then figure out what it wants to do. So I think we are probably going to retest a little bit, bust higher from here, and then it's going to be a little bit of a struggle until about 40K. Okay? So the next 10K are not going to be super easy. I'm not saying the previous 10K were easy. So we might see volatility. But once we're over the 40K mark, I think it's pretty much over for the bearish case. And we're going to see some very rapid price advances from there. So on a short-term end of things, it's possible that we're pulling back a little bit before we bust higher. In terms of the bearish scenario, we cannot completely rule it out. And I'm not trying to be a bull tart here by saying that it's completely impossible. Nothing's ever completely impossible in the markets. You want to always consider an alternative scenario. Why? Because it's sometimes these alternative scenarios that produce really, really rapid moves because they take everyone by surprise. So if we're seeing a pullback here, let's say to 27K, and all of a sudden it drops even further below, let's say 25K, if it drops below that, it's actually possible we have a little bit of a double top here and we go all the way down here. It's possible. But is it probable? I don't know. I think based on what I'm seeing and all the price action I've seen in my life, I would give that scenario not more than, let's say, 20%. And that's probably on the higher side. Maybe call it 15%. So the most plausible scenario right now is either a little pullback followed by a push higher, unless, of course, there's some huge news that might cause another panic sell. I don't know. I don't want to jinx it, so I'm not going to mention anything. Use your imagination. Enough has happened over the last year, right? I don't want to even think about any other exchanges blowing up or any other regulation or who knows what. Whatever. So pullback here, right? And from there, we push into 40K, and then that's really where the rubber hits the road, so to say. That's what I see happening here at the current time. And when you look at the total, though, total is all crypto, including Bitcoin, Ethereum, all the shit coins and everything. We're not close to the previous spike high here that we painted in April. And I think over here, it depends. It's possible that crypto pulls it over the line. And here, on the other hand, though, once we push over this spike high, it's kind of smooth cruising all the way to here, So that's where I would probably start paying attention to altcoins. Because if we breach this line here, I think it's like the Maginot line, if you guys remember history, that was the French defense line. So that's kind of the Maginot line here for the entire crypto sector. And if that can be breached, and then it's rock and roll all the way into Paris, there is some resistance here probably, but that's quite a ways away. So I've really followed the altcoin performance, and I think I've posted a few videos about it. Altcoins have not been doing well over the last year at all. I mean, I'm actually tracking the performance in altcoins. I'm not trading them, but I'm tracking the performance. So it's not surprising to see this discrepancy between the total sector here and then Ethereum or Bitcoin. So that, I think, will be the final straw. Right now, it's all about Bitcoin and Ethereum. The altcoin sector is still in a bear market, deep bear market. And I don't see that changing in the near future. I think it's Bitcoin and Ethereum that will have to draw the altcoin sector out of hibernation and get us back in the game on that end. But honestly, that is probably a few months away at best. So I'm not going to be worried about it. I mean, could be a few weeks. Hopefully. That would be great. I'd love to sling altcoins again. That was fun. But for now, I think we should just be focused on the gold and silver standard and maybe Ethereum. Let's check actually that one real quick, see where we are. So you see a mixed picture here. It looks kind of a mix between Bitcoin and what we just saw in total. Actually, as I look at it, it looks quite a bit like what we're seeing over in the altcoin sector. I called it probably a little bit more bullish in general. We have a similar situation where we have this spike high here that needs to be overcome. Around, what is that price point? I'd call it 2,100. And if that can be overcome, there's really not too much in terms of context. We're going to be probably at 2,600 very quickly. In between here, if we zoom in a bit, we have several hurdles. We have got this one here. That's the first hurdle for Ethereum. Let's call a price point here. I'd say 1920. And then here we got one at around 2K. Yeah, 2K. So 1920, 2K, and after that, let's call it just 2150. So it's a stacked series of hurdles that need to be taken down. And that'll take some work. But once it's cleared, again, it's just rock and roll time all the way here probably into 2,600. That's kind of all I got for you in terms of just price action. Again, no indicators. No, we don't need no stinking indicators. Right? No training wheels. We just read the price action. It tells us everything we need to know. Okay, I'll leave you with that. And, well, fingers crossed, we're in much better shape than we were even 6 months ago. So I'm looking forward to a profitable and hopefully productive second half of 2023. And the next halving is coming in probably April of 2024. So we should see some real fireworks then. Oh, by the way, before I forget it, if you like this video, if you like this type of content, click the thumbs up button and maybe subscribe to the channel. Every little bit helps. Okay, cheers.